Ever heard of a victory garden? Perhaps war garden? They were pretty common in World War I and World War II, where citizens were contributing to the war effort in an indirect way by reducing the demand for civilian food supply by planting their own gardens for fruits and vegetables and herbs. This was a movement that was requested by the government to help aid in the war efforts by contributing in their own way. And what they found was incredibly successful. Civilians rose up and contributed in a way that they could to support their troops. They were able to not only support in a physical way, but it was also considered a morale booster. Their contribution mattered. Their ability to support mattered. There was a huge following. In fact, in America alone, during the height of World War II, there were over 18 million victory gardens produced in the U.S. 12 million of those were actually in cities. Think about that. Folks that didn't have ability to help were able to help in a way. Maybe they had no experience in actual farming, but they learned. And these gardens were actually found in private residences, actually on farms, and even in public parks. There is even a victory garden on the White House. So it's an example of what happens when a society is empowered and unified and can contribute. Roughly 9 million tons of fruits and vegetables were produced from these gardens. It's an amazing thing when you think about it. It really is. What a society can do when they have a combined goal and have access to participate. What we're proposing is that additive manufacturing can be the equivalent of a victory garden. What we're saying is this: in the same way that people had land or could acquire land and produce, citizens of the world even can acquire a 3D printer and produce when there's a need. Take a look back at COVID. We ran the estimates. And in the U.S. alone, there's roughly 5 or 6 million community college graduates every year. And if roughly 18% of each of those graduating classes, for only 2 years, only 2 graduating classes, if roughly 18% of those graduates had been additive literate or 3D printing literate and had access to a low-cost printer, maybe one off Amazon for $220. If that had been in place before COVID, that body of producers could have produced over 1 billion face shields in the first 60 days of the COVID shutdown. An untold number of possible products could have been produced on demand to support the efforts against the pandemic in their own regions, or could have been shipped through the local post office to places that needed them desperately. It could have been something incredibly powerful. It could have been a tremendous morale booster for those who were isolated from the rest of the world. What it felt like to actually just be by yourself and not able to contribute anymore. What could have happened if we had had that ability in place? Now, we saw what happened for those who did have that experience, who had that expertise in a printer. We saw them producing. We saw them producing face masks. We saw them producing the face shields. We saw them producing even the ear savers. We even saw products that were actually being used for equipment to keep life-saving devices operational. So we saw that, but we saw it in a very, very small scale. Not a lot of people, globally speaking, had the capability. But what could have happened would have been amazing. So what we're saying is this: getting additive literacy, learning 3D printing, learning how to use a low-cost 3D printer can be something transformative for our society. Not only could we step in the event of another pandemic, or in the event of another emergency disaster, or even in the event of just a global supply chain breakdown, which we have found that is surprisingly easy to facilitate and can happen. Sometimes a natural disaster can cause it. With a unified body of manufacturers, under some type of leadership, where we would say, this governing body or this entity is sending out the files of things that need to be made, society, can you help? It would empower the people. It would be a tremendous morale booster to be able to participate and fulfill that need, because by and large, people want to help. So the Victory Garden, it worked very much so in World War I. It worked in World War II. But we've lost that ability to participate as a society. We have lost that ability to be a part of something bigger. Even though we have tremendous amount of connectivity, we've lost the ability to participate other than, social media. What if we had the ability to participate in a physical way? So it's something to think about. The more folks that learn additive manufacturing, the more folks that actually understand how to use a 3D printer correctly and move away from the keychains and trinkets, the more people that can step in, not only for potential innovations to support their community and support their friends and families and even their own home, but the more folks that can contribute in the event of something major going wrong. So the next pandemic, the next shutdown, the next major event, we are ready to join together and produce and to manufacture, simply because we've learned a little bit of 3D printing along the way. So something to think about. My name is Eric Wooldridge. I'm professor and director of the Additive Manufacturing Center at Somerset Community College and for the KCTCS system. And our goal is to make this happen. Right now we are focusing on Kentucky. We are focusing on building additive literacy into our entire workforce, our entire student bodies all across the state. That's our goal. But our goal is loftier than that. We want to see it happen in the surrounding states. We want to see it happen across the nation. We want to see it happen across the world, where people are able to produce for themselves and contribute, especially considering the equipment cost is less than a smartphone. I mean, some of these devices are $220 or even less. And so the ability and the capacity is there. The cost of the material is $15 a roll. It's pennies, really. So the ability and the technology is there. The missing link is the people. And that's what we're after. That is what we want to help folks understand and learn and do it for themselves. Use it for your own hobbies. Use it for your own small business. Use it for your own ability to provide humanitarian aid. These things are being used to produce everything from splints to household goods, hardware, all the way out to water filters. It's all there and it's all possible. It just needs the driver. It just needs the right mindset. So we invite you to check out some of the things that we're doing along these efforts. We invite you to come and partner with us in making a revolution of makers happen. The Victory Garden. Remember it. It worked then. This is a completely new way to do it and make it work now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.